We were a group seeking an exciting escape. The forest seemed appealing despite our ignorance. We equipped ourselves, loaded the trucks, and ventured into the dense forest. The camping trip quickly turned dark. It began at our campsite near a secluded, untouched open space. The trees stood tall and the air was pure. We opened some cold drinks, had laughter around the fire, and suddenly we heard a strange sound that was completely unfamiliar. It was a combination of a low growl and a twisted howl. Initially, we believed it to be a creature, yet its noise enticed us further into the forest. It was odd. We had no choice but to follow it. We entered the darkness, one by one, with our flashlights. Mark, our friend, was either extremely brave or excessively curious. He took the lead. We pursued the sound for what seemed like endless time. The foliage thickened, the trees encroached, and the noise intensified. Our flashlights struggled to penetrate the pitch black, obscuring even the stars from our view. The forest seemed to be engulfing us completely. Suddenly, the sound ceased. We arrived at the origin, but no peculiar sight was visible. We exchanged nervous glances while shivering in the cold. Then we noticed Mark was gone at that moment. We frantically called out for him, but received no response as panic consumed us. He had also been engulfed by the forest. We agreed to separate. Some would look for Mark, while the rest would seek the way back to camp. In the darkness, we found two lifeless animals, a deer and a raccoon, covered in blood. The bloody and horrific sight indicated a non-ordinary culprit. Those dead animals made us shiver. We couldn't explain it. The presence of a malevolent force seemed to be observing and enticing us further into its macabre scene. We needed to leave and locate Mark, yet the forest was confusing. The trees appeared to move, while the unsettling noise persisted in the darkness. We felt hunted, and the fear was tangible. We navigated the darkness, stumbling on roots and branches, with hearts drumming. The forest appeared animated, emitting eerie sounds that mocked our fear. Mark was nowhere to be seen. Even after several hours, we were lost, exhausted, and terrified. We were caught in a terrifying labyrinth as the once peaceful forest transformed. So we attempted to backtrack, but it proved futile. We were lost in the relentless darkness. We gathered closely, our flashlights flickering, and the sound approached, now nearer. Louder, with a more menacing demeanor. We needed to escape, but where? Faint and desperate, Mark's voice emerged from the depths of the woods. He cried out for assistance. We followed his voice, crashing through the underbrush, and finally, we found him. He was alive, trembling, and covered in dirt and scratches. Mark was incoherent, muttering about being chased in the woods. We refrained from questioning him further. We were aware we had to leave immediately. We hastily retreated from the woods, swiftly departing camp in our trucks while packing our gear. We never looked back, and we never spoke of that night again. The camping trip was a terrible experience, and I still believe the forest concealed something sinister and wicked, ready to attract unsuspecting people like us. My family and I set up camp in the remote woods just as the sun was beginning to set. We eagerly anticipated our camping trip, and the mouth-watering aroma of our parents' campfire-cooked dinner filled the air. I had to go to the makeshift toilet area farther from our campsite because I needed to answer nature's call. I encountered an eerie atmosphere in the dimly lit woods, with rustling leaves and the hoot of an owl. I dismissed the shivers and assured myself it was simply my imagination. The makeshift toilet area was close, but not close enough for comfort. I hastily finished and was about to return when a peculiar, unearthly noise echoed from the depths of the forest. It sounded like a combination of a gentle buzz and a far-off murmur. It gave me chills, and I couldn't resist my curiosity. I continued into the forest, pursuing that unsettling noise. It was like a captivating melody, irresistible and twisted. I regretted not turning back, but I couldn't resist. I experienced a strong force drawing me further into the shadowy, enigmatic forest. As I progressed further, the noise grew louder and more disconcerting. Its source was indiscernible, heightening its creepiness. Unexpectedly, a hand covered my mouth and I was forcefully pulled into a concealed campsite. I felt my heart race as I gazed at the man who had brought me to this place. His unkempt appearance, untamed, unwashed hair, and his gaze revealing unprecedented madness. "If you say a word or attempt to flee, I will kill you. Do you understand?" I nodded, consumed by terror. My parents were unaware of my absence, and I had no means of seeking assistance. He squeezed my arm, signaling me to take a seat on the log by the fire. He had a crazy appearance, and I was terrified. As the fire crackled and cast eerie shadows, he ranted about luring people into the woods using that strange sound, just like he did with me. He expressed his intention to trap me indefinitely, which immediately struck me with immense force. I faced serious peril. I could no longer prevent my tears and started to silently sob. I heard footsteps and a voice shouting, "Where are you?" The man stood still, his wild eyes quickly shifting towards the nearing sound. He momentarily let go of me, and I seized the opportunity. I ran towards a camper who had heard my cries. My savior took my hand and guided me from the man's camp. My parents, frantic and worried, saw us running towards them. The other camper explained what had happened. My parents called the authorities. The man vanished into the woods before the police arrived. They searched thoroughly, but he remained undiscovered. I still feel haunted by the encounter, as if I narrowly escaped a terrible fate. I ponder the fate of others drawn by that eerie sound, forever changing my camping experience. I went camping with my friends in the woods to have a fun and adventurous weekend getaway from the daily routine. We enjoyed a nice campsite by a private lake with a crackling fire as we toasted marshmallows and traded tales. The night turned sinister and ruined everything. A stranger appeared from the shadows while we sat by the campfire. He appeared unkempt, as if he'd wandered into the wilderness for days. He scanned the room before focusing on me. Concerned, I asked him, "Are you all right?" He muttered about requiring assistance and mentioned his companions being injured. I felt compassion towards him and thought we could offer help. I persuaded my hesitant buddies to become good Samaritans. The stranger guided us into the dense, shadowy woods, and a shiver ran down my back. It felt as if I were entering a terrifying dream. We continued, shining our flashlights through the pitch-dark woods, following him further. Cracking twigs beneath, whispering secrets in the breeze. We found a clearing after what felt like forever, with two guys already there. They appeared threatening, not wounded, and I felt uneasy instantly. They swiftly attacked us, and the stranger's disguise vanished. They attempted an assault and demanded our belongings. I felt fear as I resisted, as did my friends. The forest resounded with grunts and the commotion of bodies. I grappled with an assailant, my face smudged by leaves and dirt. I felt a rush of adrenaline and an intense determination to safeguard what belonged to us. We persisted endlessly, unwavering in our resolve not to succumb. My friend called for help on his cell phone amidst the chaos. We hoped for a savior to arrive, as it served as our only connection to the outside world. As the odds turned against us, distant sirens of approaching police cars reached our ears. The attackers, having heard them, promptly fled into the woods, vanishing like apparitions. We were battered, shaken, yet relieved. We provided the police with a shaky account of the incident upon their arrival. They searched the vicinity, but discovered no trace of the attackers. The officers promised to investigate after taking our statements. We were frightened and remained on the edge for the rest of our camping trip, never forgetting the terrifying experience. We sensed being observed as we came through our campsite. Our fire burned all night, creating flickering shadows that deceived our perception. We lacked sleep, and every noise in the woods made us shudder. The next day, we departed promptly, motivated to leave the harrowing experience in the past. A peaceful camping trip turned into a chilling horror story, serving as a reminder that danger can exist anywhere. We appreciated our fast thinking and timely assistance, which prevented a memorable camping trip from becoming an unforgettable nightmare.